Hello and welcome to another week at the bungalow. As you can tell, we're continuing in the bathroom this week, so it's time for that bath to go in. We've had all this stuff for a little while now. We ordered it all probably about a year ago, so we got all the sizings and everything else, so we knew that it would fit into the bathroom. Also means that when we were planning out things like drainage and pipe work, we knew where the taps would be, etc., especially on things like toilet just there, which we obviously need to know the exact height of the soil pipe and also the flush pipe, and on toilet bases they can be a little bit different. So the bath has got 5 adjustable feet, pretty standard, get fixed down onto the ground. I mean, if you had a wooden floor you might screw it down. That's going to be pretty much freestanding. We will have wooden floor going around the bath, but the actual bath will be standing straight on the concrete. We'll just fix it to the walls either side, and then there'll be a bath panel also which will run round, and that'll be tied in with the wall and the skirting, so it all looks like one. So rather than being a plastic panel that comes with the bath, it's going to be a sort of bespoke, so it ties all into the bathroom. So while we've got the opportunity and before it fixes down, giving it a bit of a clean up underneath, try and get rid of all the dust and dirt, and then obviously something to lie the bath on so it doesn't get scratched. The bath comes with a protective plastic over the top of it, but as far as lying it on a concrete floor, I think that's probably a bad idea. So with regards to where the legs go on the bath, doesn't seem to be any hard and fast rule. Generally trying to support them or space them out so that it supports the bath correctly. We've got these 2 double ones which go all the way up to the bath edge, and then there's a centre one that holds up the middle. So literally just trying to make sure that it's well supported and that everything's nice and square. Bit of a risky moment this one, making sure that the screws don't come through, always nerve-wracking, but obviously using the screws that come with the bath. So at the moment the pan's still loose, it's not been plumbed in as yet, we're just spacing everything out, making sure it's correct. So a small adjustment needed there. The timber flooring underneath the toilet is the spacer. We're going to have a wooden oak floor running through into the bathroom, so exactly the same as you've seen us do elsewhere. The bathroom downstairs will be no different. We've got tile floors upstairs, but we're going to go for wooden downstairs. And there we have the starts of the bathroom. So since the plaster has been, got plaster all covered up all over the pipe that we did previously that you'd seen me do, and also now that the plastering's all done, time to get the pipe work sort of finished off. We're looking to get the shower tray in, so obviously that needs to be completed. It was just roughed in before. Got a spacer underneath the shower tray there. Obviously we've got to lift it up above the timber floor, so it's going to go on a bed of weak mix sand and cement. So I've done some investigation into this one, and it seems that the weak mix sand and cement is the best thing to put it on, especially if you're putting it on a concrete floor. just fully supports the shower tray without it absolutely being glued down. I mean, I think there's some people use tile adhesive and all sorts, but you can end up with cracks in your shower tray because of it. So the mix is relatively weak. I think it's something like a 6-to-1 or 8-to-1 we used. And the first job is to fill in the gaps around the pipework. So this gives us a nice base to work from. And if there's any problems with the pipework, this also makes life easier if you've got to break the pipework back out. So we've checked all the pipework already to make sure we haven't got any leaks. We've wet the floor here underneath the shower tray to try and stop it drying out too quickly. It's a sort of semi-dry mix we're using so that it supports the shower chair well and doesn't squidge out too much. So with the shower tray in place, roughly speaking, most important bit was to get that drain hole screwed into place so that it moves with the shower rather than being sort of left behind and being all skew width and then having all sorts of problems getting it in. And then it's just the levelling. Usual procedure, down each legs and then diagonals. We're using the edge of the shower tray as that's the level bit because obviously the inside runs down towards the plug hole anyway. Then just leaves tidying up the edge. Claire's the master at this bit. Last bit of the channel to fill in with the leftover mix, and that's also the O-ring there for the drain hole, which will go in at a later date once we mastic that in properly. Couple of holes there drilled for the shower fitting. So we've got an access panel on the back side of that wall, in between the tumble dryer and the wall, so that we can gain access to the pipework. But a couple of holes drilled through already, so we can then drill back through after we're done with through the tile. Progressing nicely. We've got the stainless steel edge up the side of the tiles, and we're using the grinder type cutter for the tiles. Reason being, we've got ever such a small slither to take off, and we've got one of those diamond bitted slidey salt, but they're great for cutting tiles in half or quarters, but when it comes to literally just taking an edge off, I think the grinder salt are slightly better. The unfortunate part about them is the edge they leave isn't the absolute best. Last few tiles in place, and then we've also got a panel going in the recessed area that we made, which, if you remember from the plastering or the plasterboard time, we've framed out and made it sunk in. So we've got a couple of lights going in the top here to light this area up, and then we'll have a couple of glass shelves going across for keeping all your objet on. But to keep it the same, got the same tiles going across into there. And then Claire's absolute worst is the grouting, which she hates doing. So we'll spin through that nice and quick. All is done. Look at that. And exactly the same with the end panel. All finished. Moving swiftly on to the shower enclosure. So this is a pretty standard. We've got a fixed side panel on the shower enclosure and then a hinge door at the front. Most of the enclosures that you end up fitting, and certainly this was similar to the one we used upstairs, you have a sort of U-shaped rail that gets fixed to the wall, and then the glass pieces or the sections get slid into the U-shaped channel, and that's how it supports, and then obviously resting on the tray at the bottom. So this is the small side panel that then supports the door, so there's a couple of hinges that screw through the two pieces of glass and support the door. Once in place, You put a couple of little self-tapping screws that go through the two pieces of aluminium, hold them together and stop it sliding apart, but it's a U-channel that gives you the adjustment. And then we've got those right hand brackets there coming out from the wall just to give the top a bit of stability and stop it wafting about. Much larger and slightly more scary is the other side panel. As much as the glass in shower enclosures is pretty robust once it's in place, they're all a bit delicate while they're being made. And a larger version of the right hand or the right angled section that holds and supports the top of the glass. So the two pieces of glass meet at the right hand corner, and they've got a magnetic plastic waterproofing strip that you sort of clip on the edge of the glass. So now that's in place, just double checking all the uprights and measurements before those little screws go in place and hold it fixed forever. So once we've got all this into place, and as you can see from this shot here, we're missing the weatherproofing strip that fits at the bottom of the door, and for this it meant drilling into the resin base, which filled us both with absolute dread. But after investigation on the internet, we found that the best way of doing it was with high-speed steel drill bits, and then we sort of gradually went up in size to the 6mm that was required, and then we put a raw plug in there to fix the screws too. So we'll show you a shot of that at the end. But yeah, quite a strange one. So after some very careful drilling and slowly going up in size, we could stick our raw plug in, and then that meant we could fix the final part of the drip rail that runs under the door. So as we swing around with the last few shots of the shower enclosure, I thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one.